Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Marianna Kichurchak. I am a professor at the Department of Economy of Ukraine at Ivan Franko National University of Lviv. Uh, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the organizer for inviting me to speak at this event, and I'm thrilled to be here today to share my insights and perspectives of interconnected roles of human capital, employment, and sustainable development in the European Union countries. My today agenda, as you can see in the screen, will consist of four parts. And in each of these parts will be deeper explain my research endeavors relating to the sustainable development in the European Union countries. So I would like to admit that sustainability stands among the foremost priorities of the European Union domestic and foreign policy agenda. The European Union institutions play a pivotal role in establishing a national framework to realization of the Sustainable Development Goals and systematically monitor the progress toward achieving these goals. So my research hypotheses are as the follows. I suppose that human capital could be potentially influenced by students' expectations of employment, the fiscal capacity of the public budget for funding tertiary education, and current approaches to taxation. So the employment could be interconnected with prevailing demographic situations in the European Union countries, resource productivity, budgetary allocation for education and taxation. And resource productivity may be contingent on the state of employment and public expenditures dedicated to environmental protection in the European Union countries. I suppose that exploration of the dependencies between human capital, employment dynamics, and resource productivity for sustainable development in the European Union countries requires a careful consideration of their mutual influence on each other. And methodologically, the most suitable approach for this purpose is a framework of simultaneous regression equations involving two and more dependent variables. In my case, we have 3 endogenous variables and 10 exogenous variables. In the next slide, you will see the overall specification of the simultaneous models for the European Union countries, and you may see these two quotation, these two types of equations. So I would like to admit that the order conditions of the simultaneous equations from 1 to 3 have revealed that each of them is over identified. In light of the verification results, it's recommended to employ a two-step least square method in order to accurately access the parameters associated with the over-identified structural models. So in the next slide, you may see the final structural model, and the next slide with the represent the first, the second, and the third pillars of the structural models. I would like to admit that coefficient of determination for each of the structural equations from 7 to 9 show the existence of very strong correlations between exogenous and endogenous variables. So I would like to admit that simultaneous models exhibit a noteworthy capacity to explain the changes in the values of the explained variables, make it well suited for predictive analysis. So we move on to the next slide, and you may see that if we compare the theoretical and empirical values of endogenous variables within the structural equations system for individual countries in the European Union country, we may speak about forecast accuracy metrics. And in our case, this matrix is good enough. And also you may see one of the examples of this metrics for human capital for such countries like Austria, Belgium, and Portugal. So I would like to summarize my research findings, and in line with the parameters of the structural equations, the enhancement of human capital, employment, and resource productivity for sustainable development in the European Union country hinged upon strategies related to the public funding of tertiary education for employment policy in the European Union countries, government expenditures on environmental protection, and intensity of material resource extraction, and the increase in direct material inputs from fossil energy resources. Also, I would like to draw your attention that the war in Ukraine will also exert an impact on sustainable development in the European Union countries. And concerning human capital, this impact will be driven by the integration of forced migrants into recipients' countries' economy, and the formation of their expectations regarding the potential return to Ukraine following the cessation of hostilities. Also, I would like to I would like to to express my gratitude the members of the organization committee, and to you, my dear colleagues, and you may see my contacts, and please feel free to reach out to me with any question, comments, and opportunities for collaboration. Thank you once again for your attention, but